Yo, what's poppin', Bagel Bros, and welcome back to another Patreon rant. If you want one of these, pass me $5 or $10 on Patreon, and I'll give you one a month. This one comes from Neon Manta, who says, rant about endings. What are some of your favorite endings you've ever seen, and why they're so effective? Then talk about some of the worst endings you've ever seen, and why they sucked ass. Now, endings are a bit of a perplexing topic to me. Reason being that they tend to not be as notable as I think a lot of people think. Because if you're watching, so if you've watched a show up until the end, well, first of all, I mostly watch anime, which don't end. They finish their first season, and then they say, read the manga, and if you don't do that, you just never get the ending. But setting that aside, you can critique how an individual season of anime ends, that is completely fair, but even still, if you're watching something up until the end, it's probably good, and so an ending is probably also going to be good. It's just a continuation of the quality of that show. Whereas if you, for whatever reason, watch a bad show up until the end, it's probably also going to be bad. And so you don't tend to get a lot of good shows with bad endings. And when it does have a good ending, it is just kind of par for the course. It is just how it be. Obviously, though, there are a lot of shows with notable endings. Bidoof has actually replied to this post saying, disappearance talk imminent. But the thing is, I also know who requested this rant, and I know that bitch hasn't seen Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, and I don't want to spoil it. And so, I'm gonna leave that out of it. Look, I already have nearly 40-minute rant, I'm pretty sure, on Disappearance. I forget exactly how long it is nowadays. But some other endings that are good. I mean, I'm looking through my annual list right now, and there's quite a few choices, but I don't want this to go forever, so I'm gonna just choose an easy one. Assassination Classroom. That anime actually does end. It's not just a season cliffhanger, go read the manga, LMAO. That show, God, I don't want to spoil it. That also makes this rant hard. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, and so I need to be very careful about how I say this. But let's just say that it makes a lot of good moves throughout the second season, to the point where the latter half of that season, or I guess more like the latter third, after a certain point, every episode is a 10 out of 10. And I give the season as a whole a 9 out of 10, just because it isn't consistent enough with that. But there is the back stretch of that season is just straight 10s, making all the right decisions, pulling at your heartstrings in all the right ways. It's great. I really want to rewatch that show, mostly to experience the ending again. And what I like most about it is it's a bit of a subtle thing. The OP, the final OP in Assassination Classroom is Bye Bye Yesterday, which is probably my favorite OP in all of anime. Second favorite, because there's the last Zetsubo Sensei OP, which is just pure brilliance and fucking visual chaos from beginning to end. But this is whereas that is, visual and song brilliance, this is narrative brilliance, because not only is it a good song and really emotional in the moment, but at the end of the OP, it shows you the chalkboard with how many days left until, Kuro-sensei ends the world or whatever. And it is just seeing that countdown and seeing how, these days with Kuro-sensei are coming to an end. It is so good. It hits you so hard. But I think what's more notable than that even tends to be the anime with bad endings to good shows. But it's also it's a bit hard to distinguish what counts as a bad ending, because typically shows with bad endings that were good at one point made bad decisions somewhere in between that then culminated in that bad ending. Like, do we say that Death Note is a good show with a bad ending? I mean, yeah, kind of. But it also stopped being nearly as good after episode 25. And it's got like 37, I think, off the top of my head. So, like, is it the ending that's bad, or is it the entire back half of the show that is bad? Or more like a back third? Because I'm not sure if that counts as a good show having a bad ending, and you can see this to a lesser extent in other, quote-unquote good shows or shows that were once good with bad endings, like Toradora. Now, I'm actually a pretty big defender of Toradora's ending. I don't think the back third of the show is nearly as good as what came before it, but it's still, like, I get what it's going for thematically. It's, reaching this point where this friend group is being torn apart by the various, crushes and, like, emotions just simmering so high. Like, it's reaching a point where this once amicable friend group is no longer, like, it's untenable to maintain that because emotions have just been, pushed to their breaking point so much. And so it reaches this point of constant melodrama, which is not always pleasant to see unfold. It is a bit over the top, a bit too much, but I do appreciate what it's going for thematically. But that is like an entire, once again, back third of the show. Is that a bad ending? It's hard to say exactly. And that's what, that's a qualm I have with a lot of quote-unquote bad endings. Even, for an example from last season, Mecha Ude. Mecha Ude is, it started off good, it has a bad ending, but also, like, half that show isn't very good. Like, you can see, sure, the ending is by far the worst part, but you can see the bad decisions in the DNA from a pretty early point. Like, I was complaining about these things in the second podcast we did on it, which only went up to episode 8, or episode 9, rather. So, I saw it coming. I was not excited to watch the final 3 episodes of Mecha Ude. I was under no impression that they would be good. But I do have one really good example of a show that was good literally until its ending. Katanagatari. Katanagatari was good for 11 books and fucking terrible for the last one. And it is like a very unique circumstance. So I'm just gonna lay it all out here. If you haven't seen Katanagatari or read it and want to, stop watching now. Because I am about to spoil it, and once you know the ending, you will probably not want to watch it anymore. Because it is fucking awful. It is bafflingly bad. Like, Katanagatari, I probably would have given it like an 8 or a 9, but the ending made it so that I couldn't give it any higher than a low 7. I was like, it was so good. You were so close, and then you just made the most baffling decision possible. So, Katanagatari is about Togame enacting her revenge against the current system, I think it's the shogunate. I forget exactly where in history Katanagatari happens, because it's been a few years since I've read it. But she's basically getting revenge against the powers that be, the people who run Japan currently. And so she enlists our main character, Shichika, I'm pretty sure is his name. I better not be getting that wrong. I'm actually going to double check because I'm paranoid, but it's got to be Shichika or something like that. Yeah, I was right. I'm way too paranoid about my memory. She enlists Shichika to help her, and he, acts as her sword, essentially. And there's a bunch of different plot twists. Honestly, admittedly, this does go against what I said a little bit. Book 11's twist with Shichika is kinda... I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's actually unrelated to the ending, which is what really ruins it. Where Togame fucking dies at the end of Book 11. Well, we see her get shot in book 11, and then in book 12 we confirm her death. And she reveals that, oh, the machinations of my mind, I was manipulating even myself. I knew that I would grow to like you, Shichika, and I was afraid. It's like a bunch of bullshit. She's like 5D chessing it at like the last minute. It's a really bullshit scene, honestly. But that's not even the worst part, right? So Togame fucking dies. Now, to put this into perspective, Togame's character arc up to this point was essentially she realized it really in book 10, that her revenge won't make her happy. It won't fulfill her. It won't do anything. And by the way, the reason she's getting revenge, I sort of forgot to say this, is because they killed her dad. So her revenge is just not gonna make her happy. It's not gonna fulfill her. And she realizes this. And I was thinking up to this point, look, I'm all in on where I think this is going. Book 12, they're gonna get super close to, her enacting her revenge. And then she's just gonna be like, this isn't worth it. Shichika, let's get married. Let's go find a quaint cottage somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and let's just fucking have 10 kids. I thought that was where this book was going. So I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be good. It's gonna be like the ending of the romance that they've been building up for this entire story, and she fucking dies, and it's like she says some 5D bullshit chess monologue, and then Shichika is like, alright, I'm mad, I'm pissed, I'm gonna go enact her revenge for her. He just fucking... Okay, so Shichika's... Oh god, voice crack. Shichika's arc... I voice cracked again, but I'm just gonna leave it in. His arc is learning not to be a sociopath, basically, because he has been... he has lived away from humans for most of his life, and he has been raised with the sense that, like, I am a living weapon, I just kill things, that is my duty, and he does not feel empathy for the people around him dying. He doesn't really view them as people because he's spent his entire life, first of all, being raised by, other, his sister is an even bigger sociopath than he is. And so he has been surrounded by bad influences for his entire life. And it's essentially this story about breaking away from them and learning to feel emotions and empathy and all that. And it's a really powerful story. And then at the end, after Togame dies, he's like, I'm gonna kill fucking, I think it's like over a dozen people, all the way up to the emperor or shogunate or whatever, and he kills him. And then he wifes, I'm pretty sure her name is Nanami, the blonde-haired bitch. He wifes her instead, now that he's enacted Togame's revenge. And it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ. I guess it's a plot twist. It sure do be a plot twist. But oh my god. Nisio Isin... Look, this guy is a very ballsy, daring writer, and I do respect that about him. But he undid all the character growth in a single book. All of it. I'm getting mad even recounting how it goes down. Because it is like, why would you end it like that? I just wanted them to settle down and get married. What bothers me so much is that it's so free. It does not take a genius to end this series properly. Just let them get married. That's all you need to do. But no, it has to be like this crazy plot twist. You don't need a plot twist. Like, the ending you were looking for was right there. And it was so easy to just write, and then they get married. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's about it. See ya.